Yeah, I'm back. I had to come back for this episode, man. This is Stef Saucy Talk with your guy, DJ Stef Saucy, or better known as Stef Saucy from the show. Oh, and by the way, I got this merchandise on. If you read what the caption is saying, I'm not a hater. I just talk a lot. I really do. I got some real special news I want to announce to you. The numbers came in. But before I say anything else, you know I like to say it. Like and subscribe to the channel. Interesting week we've had the past 2 weeks on Stef Saucy Talk. Let's not mention the fact that we went viral. It was the most viewed video ever on Stef Saucy Talk, and that is the video with Colin Kaepernick. For some reason, when I talk about Kaepernick, people go crazy. The comments are wild. They're very, malicious. They're very derogatory to Colin Kaepernick. Something about this guy people do not like. And ever since he took that knee on national television in the NFL when he was a former quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, people did not like him. He has supporters too, but for the most part, people did not like him. Let's just be honest. I'm going to show you right now. 19,800 views on Instagram alone. Over 400 likes, right? Over 50 comments and 66 hours. 66 hours of watch time on Stef Saucy Talk. And remember, I started this back in 2018. That was the whole purpose, was him to try to rejoin the NFL. And obviously, people weren't feeling it. I mean, you got a few comments that I'm going to pull up on the screen. Someone said he had his chance when he had the invite. You remember the invite he got back in 2019 when all the 32 NFL teams went to see him practice? Well, that didn't happen. But in order for us to understand about Kaepernick, right, we gotta talk about his beginning in the NFL, where he started. He was a guy that was in the Super Bowl. So you say to yourself, okay, damn, he been in the Super Bowl? He was damn near at the peak of his level. And this was back in 2013, the last time he was at that stage of his career. So, he didn't win it. Okay, we get it. But the timeline after that, wow, that guy received so much hate. 2016, here's a guy that risked everything just to show awareness to what's going on in society nowadays. And back in those times, remember, we had Trayvon Martin. I don't know if you remember him. He got killed. Mike Brown got killed. And this is way before George Floyd, which happened during the pandemic. And the whole Black Lives Matter movement that was going on, that was a big deal for America, and especially in the black community, which a lot of people said it was too political. Why are you only focusing on black people? It should be all lives matter. Then it was police lives matter. But people didn't understand that cause and how big of a difference that was. But then to see an actual athlete do it. Now, he's not the first ever athlete to do things like this, right? We can date this back to early days in sports history where we had political sports figures. We're talking about Jim Brown, NFL Hall of Fame running back. Only played 10 years in his career and had the most rushing yards ever as an athlete. But obviously the work he did outside of football. Jackie Robinson, to name one, the first Negro to enter the Major League Baseball. And they treated him like shit. You think people that comment nowadays on social media, it was way worse. 10 times, 100 times worse back in the days when people were coming for these type of people. And then, of course, you can't forget Muhammad Ali, formerly known as Cassius Clay, and changed his name to Muhammad Ali because, you know what? Fought in the Olympics, won his gold medal, then to throw it in the river because he felt like he wasn't represented enough from his country. Look, this is a gold medalist, and he's saying that his own country doesn't love him. So that was a big deal for these athletes back in the days to show that you could be vocal outside of your own profession. But not too many nowadays are doing that. Because everybody wants that paycheck at the end of the day. And if you recall when NFL owners Don't get me started. You know I got the facts for you. And I'm going to get to that later in the show on Stef Saucy Talk. But so then we follow up to September 2016 of that very same year. He takes the knee after speaking to a U.S. Army veteran, Nate Boyer. Now, this is an Army veteran telling Colin Kaepernick, you should take a knee instead of sitting down. Because that's disrespect to the people in the armed forces. So if he's telling you that, and then you got other people telling you you're a coward, you're a fraud, you're un-American. Like, can you tell me for one what the American flag means to you and what this country represents? You can leave it in the comment section below if you feel a certain type of way of what I'm saying. Because I really want to understand this. What does it mean to you then? Because if you're saying he's a disrespect to the nation, to the flag, and he's got an Army veteran telling him he can do this, so what's the issue then? Oh man, after Colin Kaepernick did that, it was just downhill. He played his last game. I got this written down, January 2017. And then President Donald Trump, he's a typical. He's the one that last time I checked did the January 6th riots at the Capitol. But that's another story. That's another story though. We're not gonna get political, but if you want me to go there, I'm gonna go there. Because this is the facts. This is the facts. Okay, so September 22nd, 2017, President Donald Trump tells NFL owners to fire players. Fire your players that are making you money. Because if you knee, that's a disrespect to the flag, right? The outrage. The backlash. Now, many were in favor of this. Because you figure if you're an NFL owner, if I'm an owner, right? And I got players that are representing me, my city, my franchise, you're losing revenue after players are pretty much revolting against the norm that you should stand for the national anthem. That's what they want you to do. Because if you're playing for me, I'm not saying me, but as an NFL owner, if you're playing for me, then you're representing me. And if I tell you to not do so, you shouldn't do it. Because if you do, you're not going to get played. You're not going to get paid. And you're not going to play. So what do players do? Some kneel, some don't. Because they know if they do that, they're not going to get paid. Goes to show you how much you care about your people that are dying out here in these streets. Because obviously, you got to get your check at the end of the day. You got to feed your family, right? So don't give me that bullshit talking about, nah, man, you know what? I am for black people, black cause. But you don't stand for nothing. You stand for that paycheck most of the time. Give me that shit, man. And that's the things we see nowadays in society. People are not having morals or principles. They're doing things for the money. Shit like that will never change. Let's get back to the timeline. Because it gets more interesting now. So October 2017, we're in the same year as Donald Trump tells NFL owners they should fire their players. Cat files a grievance against the NFL and accusing owners of colluding by not signing him. Because you know what signing him does, right? It brings media attention. It brings people that are fans of your franchise less dollars to the team. Because that's a big deal. So the NFL is the highest grossing revenue sport in North America. So you think they need that attention to their team? They're not going to tell you that publicly, but we know, the outside people of the world know that he's not good for business. So he has to go out on a limb to file a grievance for the mishaps of him not getting signed. He's capable of playing on the team. He's capable of being a backup. Let's just be honest. We see a lot of products out here that are first-round draft picks that are total busts. And you tell me Colin Kaepernick can't go out there on the field and throw fucking football. Unbelievable, man. So that was pretty much my take on the Colin Kaepernick situation. Tupac, man, I mean, prolific rapper, of course, of the 90s. But once again, it's hip-hop. Hip-hop does it to you, right? It brings you to these type of stories where you say to yourself, man, a lot of rappers dying each and every day, each and every month, each and every year. after the 50 years now, and we're heading into the next 50, it's not looking too good for the genre itself. So when Tupac Shakur, an artist like that, was so great in his poetic rhymes, said we got to make changes. He told women to keep their head up. Then, of course, you got the gangster rap Tupac too, which is really appreciated a lot and really is what ultimately led him to his demise at certain points in his career, which is unfortunate. You know, obviously he had the beef between him and Biggie, East Coast versus West Coast, which was a really, really big time in hip hop, man. And, you know, leading up to his death, I think a lot of people hated on Tupac. I think they knew he was brilliant. They knew he was genius. And this is from only me looking outside in. I was born in 1997, the year after Pac died. But just looking at the history, looking at the facts, this death was probably, you know, something that a lot of people never thought this would have came out. Never thought that someone would actually be convicted of a crime like this because it's gang related. And we know the streets. The streets are not going to say much. So then now when you got this guy named Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who's a 60-year-old man, an old-ass man getting arrested for a crime that happened over 27 years ago, you say to yourself, that's a head-scratcher. For a guy that said in interviews and memoirs that he was a part of the shooting. That doesn't get any more evident to the fact that he was a part of it. And it took police 27 years to finally get the guy that didn't actually shoot him. He said he was in the passenger seat of the ride that killed Tupac. And obviously, of course, targeted Suge Knight, but Suge Knight still survived. So this breaking the case happened in early July as I'm reading these facts, saying that they were able to get a warrant to the house in Henderson, Nevada, which was a connection to Keefe D, or better known as Dwayne Davis. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to think that, you know, in hip-hop, we see these big deaths. We're still trying to figure out, is it related to the music? Is it related to the culture? How much in consideration are you committing to hip-hop being the ultimate cause of death to a lot of these people that come from nothing, man, and make this music into something and then ultimately to get killed like that in such a terrible fashion, man. It's just real sad to see. And, you know, obviously it's justice for Tupac and his family, but this is something even bigger. Tupac's brother said, look out for one person that can have a potential name in the investigation that they're not looking at, but they should look at him. You want me to say it? Because if I say it, then I'm going to look as a conspiracy theorist. But this is Tupac's brother that said it. And I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm going to make you believe what you want to believe. Make your own assertions to what you want to think is the ultimate person that had an involvement in both of these rappers' deaths. They were so big that probably the only way they wanted to see them go out is to go out in that type of dying fashion. Look, man, Stef Saucy Talk is here. I just had to come on today and speak about these topics, man. But I'm out of time. I thank you for tuning in. But until next time, Stef Saucy Talk. Tune in for another episode. Merch is here. What can I say? Oh yeah, and by the way, my opinions are my own. I own them. These are my thoughts and feelings. I am not a financial expert. I am not a doctor and also a therapist. So please don't come to me asking for help. Just a quick public service announcement.